Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mindseye Podcast. And when we are going to talk about this, what we're going to do is basically do a thing. And that is how when I learned a lot of things when I was out in the field as a visiting nurse on how disruptive everything can be. And so when I say disruptive, it was a notice of things not going my way all of a sudden, even though I had a set schedule. It was words popping out of your mouth. It was impedance to impish like. So when you go about and you know yourself and you say, no, I'm just having a bad day, what do you chalk it up to? So as I remember everything, even down to now being a stay-at-home mom and a wife and doing homeschooling as a retired nurse and just doing a psychic mediumship and magician work, that you have to say all is your own. But in reality, it's still here. And I feel that that's actually a huge thing as far as politics go. And that is how I used to always go into it per se. But in reality, it went into, hi, how are you? My name is Jen. Now I have to rush to get my words out. So what is true in my public? So when they say that when it's true in your public, it is a formidable review of getting things done to a DUN, to a DUNN, to a DONE, which means such a review of are they trying to make you a criminal, but then you're suspicious and then you're chalked up to mental health issues and anxiety. And then when you actually put forward concern for others to just let you know that they are safe, then you are over concerning up to PTSD. So, it comes to a point of where do you draw the line? So I started making this podcast. It just sort of like portray something a little bit different as far as doing different. It went to a whole park. It went to sitting and documenting and like setting healthy boundaries and showing that you could be a visiting nurse and have healthy boundaries. And it was, I don't take my work home with me more ways than one. I get as much done as I can, as much as I can within policy and procedure and with law. So in reality, when you get sick, did you bring your work home? It's one of the things that you actually have to test to the highest degree of a resolve. So I have always had an accent per se, and then you go, every time you say per se, Jen, what do you mean? And I know I start off quick, and it's because it's always a continuous revolve. That high instances of what was this change that one person left and it wasn't a big deal, but two are now no longer here with us and it's a huge deal. Am I tooting my own horn or am I being selfish? These are the things that are on the table for election, whether we realize it or not. It is, things all happened to us in the last 4 to 10 years. But really, it was a 5 years that it was highly significant, highly changing to where we can't even go in without being fined or paying a fee just to get a piece of paper, or we're bound by a piece of paper. It doesn't matter what you do is rich. So when you do rich and you have it all portrayed in a way unknown to be renowned, are you actually angry? Are you actually aggressive? Are you trying to be sovereign? Are you trying to stand on your own 2 feet? Or are you being rude? Because what is true and what is not? There were times you have to put some boundaries with the patients and saying, I'm sorry, but I'm not being spoken to like that. And then you get fired as a nurse from that patient, and then you have to move on. And then they have to do an investigation because you didn't use your words well. So that is where we're at. Now, how it is at home, I even get critiqued at home from everything. They do too. Are we all angst? Are we all angry, stressed out? Absolutely, to the highest degree. When we say resolve it, do you have to say you get the bottle and get the stains out and rewash it and keep going? Or resolve it to it's like a complete liquidation of something? Where is greed unbeknownst? So when I'm looking at everything in my day and how does it play out with my kids, and when it came down to actually the simplicity of a continuance on of failure to follow policy and procedure and protocol and notifying things in the proper way, you have to say there's something else going on, because then you get critiqued for being at homeschool, that now your kids are recluse, that they're hermit, they're too sheltered. Then you're a bad parent because you didn't do vaccines because they had a reaction. So that is where it all comes out, and that's where it all stems out. And then there's a program for stemming. So in reality, when I actually see everything now, being at home for the last 3 years, recovering from an injury that everyone says didn't happen because I looked normal, you have to say, did my own fail me or throw me under the bus? And that is the question every day in every workplace. Am I being ambushed? Am I being taken care of properly, even by my coworkers? To where I look at the election ballot and I say, who is actually going to have the best interests, the best way to keep us safe? But safe is now a relative. And then you go into relative. It's not what I call the cantankerous review, where you sit there and you get roasted to the highest degree. That when I actually look through it, it is, I heard it, I felt it, I saw it, I knew it was true, and I divinated on it, and I saw the evidence. And I watched the behaviors. Always remember, when you are about to be written off to the highest degree to have nothing, all is your own, all forms of the spelling. Meaning this, that you can come back a bitch, a witch, and not a snitch on how things get done. And sit there as you sip your tea, as you serve the same poison so legally and lawfully. It is so classily, it takes two to hold it. That is an old saying that my grandmother said in 1968 down in Norfolk, as she told me growing up. It didn't matter back then for her the color of your skin. It was how you approached her on all forms of how you could be your own magic, as I said, and your own way to get things done. So it was not illegal for her, though she had no pistol permit, to come out on a naval base with a shotgun in someone's face. That's all you need to know. When I look at it and I say, yes, there are rules, there's statutes, there's everything about Pro 2A. And when the Second Amendment comes through and says you are the foremost being to be at all, that you can't get anything done, D-O-N-E, because you held that pistol or that rifle in your hand, that you're now a criminal. Yes. When I look at it, it says, yes, when I pick up my husband's pistols or firearms, I am a criminal because I went against the grain. When I sip my tea and I light a candle and I ask, reveal the truth to me, It says, all go away. When I sit and I watch my children behave in a way that I know that is not of them, and I make the clearest judgment per law, even to spank their butts, that's not child abuse. Because it is a formidable, foremost way of getting something out that some people don't recognize and understand until you encounter it face to face. Things stick still, even like the 90s, the 1990s, to the 1890s, to 1793. Am I on the soapbox? Am I on my pedestal? Am I taking a kneel down to do a call to war? That is where I go. So in my family, it was talked about, but not talked about. And that is how you are to remember yourself. It is not spoken out loud to your face. You are to remember yourself in your own time, at your own time, in your own way, because your body is different. So when I woke up and remembered myself on how to do a duty do on what they say a criminal that was truly a criminal, and all I had to do was touch my nose and say, get it out, which is cutesy, as they say. That's all you had to do. And it was, yep, she will come back a criminal because she literally nailed it. That's what law enforcement said. So a lot of things in nursing ended up being what they call derogatory. Are you a good girl? Or are you a bad girl? So if you're a bad girl, you're more on the judicial side. If you're a good girl, you're more with law enforcement and military. But what is true? It is called a BEA if you do all of it. Means you can sting in a way unknown to be renowned. It's not illegal to practice witchcraft, especially when you follow all law. It's not illegal to be a Satanist as long as you're not harming the public and your practice is real and it is true. Now, I'll probably get dinged for that because that is against the grain, but freedom of religion is an unknownced rule. Unknownced rule to get it done means that that person who is practicing as a Satan can be the devil as long as he was not or she was not instilled with evil to harm, to lame, maim, and murder and kill on the basis of fun and gain and for the lust of power. To be it all, to know it all, to sow it all, to bay, to lay, to stay, to be a bay, can be a go to hell ceremony for free, depending on the spelling of bay. So when you actually go out and you actually look at everything and say, are you doing DONE? Are you doing realism? Whatever their reality is, it's how it's playing out in front of them. That is their reality. That means they're having a hard time seeing, which means sick, which means impedance. It means stress. It means holding on to mental health, holding on to everything to be of clear, sound mind, body, and soul, to be good citizens. The measure of good citizens over the last 4 years went up to a prosecutor being known saying that she could get it done. And then when it came to a formidable review, you went and say it wasn't even frig frag frunk to a dink dank dunk to get a gain. and then it became revenue. That is the harshest words I have to say, at least for the upcoming election. Observancy is key, prudency is key, and consistency is key. So this one, I'm coming on a little bit more harsh and a little bit more angry as I watch things play out in accordance of policy, procedure, protocol, and all law, addendum and referendum, and even legislature and bill. It is such a stay put order after they do you in a way unknown to get it in, that you can't even say run for it anymore. Now, as far as kids go, I have to say running is a sin now. So just turn it around. Is it sine or cosine or tangent? Is it mathematical the way their behavior is? Did it get it done? Did they become double? Are they just testing their gifts and their abilities? Is that the gold? Is that the run? Is that all of it? Because when I sit there and I say, I don't think they're ready to hear me completely, I have to say, you must go and run. Is it soliciting when you actually offer help because you can see it coming? And then say, I don't understand why I just did this. Is it cheating because you did a run? Is it cheating or unfaithfulness because you talked to another? No, it's the measure of motive and intent to get it done. So with that being said, that is daily life. And then it's a knock on the door. Is it a summons or is it a warrant? Is it a seizure or is it a cease and desist? Is it United States martial law or is it martial law complete? Spelt differently. Spelling counts in a court of law. To get it done and to be obey is one to say is a sin, but sin is a way to win a rin tin gin lin pin to get a grin. That is identity theft. So we have to say, where is the maker's mark? To be it all, to know it all, to sow it all, to buy. So when I'm looking at the military and I say run was a most, to be it all, and you say it was ill on the basis of fact of a sharp complaint that can't be caught in or brought in or told in because he can't even do a run or she can't even do a run without having it exploited. Those are the known factors of it all. Did they put it into you? Did you ask for it? Was there a consent and waiver? To be it all. You can't even say it. Just because they walk different doesn't mean they're impotent. Just because upon a look, which actually triggered the Nuremberg trials, which actually triggered Reichsschlag in a direct hit to a decree from Germany, straight into the top to get it done on a World War factor to be 3. Because 5 was most. To do it done, criminal act like, to be obey, a Constantine term. But what is a Constantine? A Constantine is a dictatorship. Lies. Are they being devil? It's an unheard of title. It was out thousands of years ago. In reality, they were oversight if it boiled to them. You can vet that in your own way and look at Greek democracy. Roman democracy to republic was beknownst to unbeknownst. So when we say, what is the platform? What is the root of the American public? What it was formed on, and I have to say, as a psychic, it was based on formidable review, injury, victim who wanted to resolve it. That's what I see the election actually turning out to be. But we'll see what the cards and the runes and the oracles actually say. And after I'm done scrying and using everything about myself. To have a break in a day where you can actually speak your own words is probably one of the hardest things to do. To be it so hard that you can't revert something out is one beknownst to own something. That is the actual basis of argument with illegal immigrants to illegal aliens. Are they victim? Do they need asylum? Or do they actually want to cause harm? What is law? What is policy and procedure and protocol when you encounter it? Boil it down. And that's all I have to say on that. With that being said, I feel like I hit hardest at home when I ran into an individual and literally canned them because I couldn't take it enough again. At my wit's end, I was able to be my own human self and still show that I was still able to get my own words out. No matter what. Well, that being said, that's all I have to really say for the week. Just more thought-provoking. You can't write off a can and bang a buck to get a dough when you're low, to sow it into hell, to be on a form of a check yes or no, to be a DONE and get upset with the results that come to thee. For that, I will talk to you all next week, and have a good night, have a good evening, have a good day, and we will talk to you after elections.